Hey guys, so in this video we're going to go through how to divide a certain quantity in a ratio. This is probably the most difficult questions with ratios. Everything else surrounding ratios is fairly doable, I would say. This is probably the area that most students tend to struggle in. So I thought I'd go through three simple or fairly simple steps that you can follow in order to find the solution in these types of questions. Okay, so we're going to start off with fairly straightforward, simple questions, I would say, and then we're going to progress to intermediate and then the harder style questions. So this first question asks you to share each amount in the given ratio. So part A is you need to share $20 in the ratio 4:1. Okay, so like I said, 3 steps. Okay, the first step in all questions is to calculate the total number of parts by adding each of these numbers in the ratio. So 4 plus 1 equals 5 parts. Okay, the second thing that you want to do is to divide the quantity, so in this case $20, by the total number of parts. So that equals $4, and that will give you the value of 1 part. And then the final step is to multiply each number in the ratio by the value of 1 part. So we're going to start with 4. We're going to multiply that by $4 to get $16. And then we're going to take 1, multiply that by $4 and get $4. So that is how you break up $20 into the ratio 4:1. So it's $16 to $4. As an extra, I guess, added step, to check if you have the correct answer, you must always add these resulting quantities, and they should obviously give you the original quantity, which in this case, it's pretty straightforward that they do. So let's attempt this second question. We're going to apply the same steps. So let's start with step 1. So we're going to add the 2 numbers in the ratio to find the total number of parts. So that's 15 parts. Then we're going to take the quantity, 60 kilometers, and we're going to divide that by the total number of parts. So that gives you 4 kilometers. So therefore, 1 part equals 4 kilometers. Then step 3, we're going to multiply each of these numbers by the value of 1 part. So 8 times 4 kilometers gives you 32 kilometers, and 7 times 4 kilometers gives you 28 kilometers. So that is how you break up 60 kilometers into a ratio of 8:7, so it's 32 to 28 kilometers. Okay, let's look at some, I guess, more application style questions. So these are a little bit more challenging, but I always want you to remember, set up your ratio and then follow through with those same 3 steps to solve the problem. So let's have a read. In a country town, a census showed that there were 5 adults to every 7 children. So I'm going to set up my ratio, adults to children, 5:7. If the population of the town was 7,200, how many children lived there? So we're going to apply the same steps. We're going to start with step 1. We're going to add each number in the ratio to find the total number of parts. Then you're going to take the total quantity, which in this case is 7,200. You're going to divide it by the number of parts. So that gives you 600. So that means that 1 part equals 600 people. And then finally, the third step, because we're trying to find the number of children, I'm just going to take the number in the ratio that represents the children, so 7, and I'm going to times that by the value of 1 part, so 600 people. The 6 times 7 is 42, and then just pop those 2 zeros on the end. And so you get 4,200 children in the town. Okay, so this next question is a little bit more challenging, but let's pay attention to the words and let's read it slowly. So a punch is made from pineapple juice, lemonade, and orange juice in the ratio 5:3:2. So I'm going to write that ratio up. So P to L to O, so pineapple to lemonade to orange juice is 5 to 3 to 2. So part A says how much lemonade is needed if 1 litre of pineapple juice is used. So what we're going to do is we're going to look carefully at the quantity that's been given. So we have 1 litre, which is 1,000 milliliters, but that 1 litre represents the amount of pineapple juice. So it doesn't represent the total amount of punch, it represents only the pineapple juice. So you have a look at, okay, in the ratio, pineapple juice is represented by 5 parts. So what you do is you take 5 parts and you equate that to 1 litre, which is 1,000 milliliters. And then from here, you can find 1 part. And to find 1 part, you simply divide 1,000 by 5. So you divide 1,000 by 5 because this represents 5 parts. So that way you get 200 mils. So then 1 part is represented by 200 mils. And then because we're finding how much lemonade is needed, lemonade represents 3 parts. So in order to find the actual quantity of lemonade, you take 3 and you multiply it by the value of 1 part. So that's 600 mils. So that is how much lemonade is needed in the punch that contains 1 litre of pineapple juice. Let's have a look at part B. How much pineapple juice is required to make 15 litres of punch? So now we have the quantity, 15 litres, and that represents the punch. Now punch is represented by these 3 numbers collectively. So now, similar to the previous questions, we're going to follow through with the first step, which is to add all the parts. So 5 plus 3 plus 2 gives us 10 parts. Then in order to find 1 part, we take the total quantity, so 15 litres. So I'm going to write that in milliliters, so 15,000 milliliters. And we're going to divide that by the total number of parts because this represents the total number. So that gives us 1,500. So that represents 1 part. And then the third part of the question, well, they want to find how much pineapple juice is required. So pineapple juice represents 5 parts. So we take 5 and we multiply it by the value of 1 part. And we get 7,500 mils, or you can say 7.5 litres. Okay, now finally, let's attempt this question. So this, I would say, is probably the most difficult, just because it's combining 2 different ratios. But we're going to do this together and hopefully we can find the correct solution. So a chemical solution is made by mixing acid with water in the ratio 1 to 24. So I'm going to write that down, acid to water in the ratio 1 to 24. The solution is then taken and mixed with water in the ratio 1 to 3. So the solution, let's call the solution A plus W. So that's taken and mixed with water. So A plus W, which is a solution to water, is mixed in the ratio 1 to 3. How much acid would there be in 400 mils of this final solution? So 400 mils represents the final solution. So let's take the ratio that involves the final solution. So it's this one. So we're going to follow through with the same steps. We're going to calculate the total number of parts. So 1 plus 3. Then we're going to take the total quantity, which is 400 mils, and we're going to divide it by the number of parts. So that gives us 100 mils. And so that's the value of 1 part in this final solution. And because we're trying to find the amount of acid, we want to basically find how much acid and water is there in this final solution. And then we can use that to work with this to find the acid. So we're going to work through the third step. And because the acid and the water represent 1 part, we're going to multiply that by the value of 1 part, which is obviously going to give us 100 mils. So this represents the amount of acid plus water. So this represents the total amount of this ratio. So now we're going to take this ratio with this as our total amount. I'm going to say total amount is 100 mils. And we're going to follow through with the same steps. Step 1, we're going to calculate the total number of parts. So 1 plus 24 gives us 25. So there's 25 parts. Then step 2, we're going to take the total amount of solution, so it's 100 mils. We're going to divide it by the number of parts. That gives us 4 mils. And then for the third step, because we're trying to find the amount of acid, acid represents 1 part in this ratio, so we're going to multiply 1 with the value of 1 part, which is 4, to give us 4 mils. And that is our solution. That's the answer right there. So the amount of acid is 4 mils. So I hope that made sense. If you guys have any questions regarding these solutions, or you want to see something else, perhaps something more difficult or something easier, let me know by commenting below or sending me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to hear back from you. Anyway, that's it from me for today. Enjoy your studies.